Travis Kelce is back for week number 2. And on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, this guy's got a higher low touchdown pick'em at 0.5, meaning he scores a touchdown. You pick the higher, you win. Travis Kelce's going to get in the end zone. This one's kind of easy. What other picks do I have up my sleeve? Let's go through some amazing higher lows on Underdog and talk about why I think these players are going to blow up. So even if you're not into the higher low thing, this episode's for you. Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco, Calvin Ridley, Trevor Lawrence, and more. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.
Let's kick it off with T-Law, since Law Dog is sitting here on the screen, and we say to ourselves, what is T-Law looking like walking into this Kansas City Chief Jaguar battle? And as you can tell, I've kind of kept with the theme of talking about this KC Jag game because I think it will be high scoring. I think Mahomes and the boys are going to want to come out, show out. Kelce's back. Kelce's going to put this thing back in order. Kelce's a leader. Mahomes is obviously a leader, the team captain, but Kelce might just be the CEO of the team. And they were in shambles in week 1. Kelce will not let that happen. Kelce is a organizer of men. So this will be high scoring. I think KC is not getting routed. Not to say the Jaguars can't win this game in a crazy hard fought battle, but if he is going to win or try and win or at least show out and look really good doing it, he's going to be scoring a lot of points. He's going to be throwing the football. On Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. If you're new to Underdog, just use code Smitty. The link is in the description of the video. Trevor Lawrence has a higher low set at 262.5 yards. I'm smashing the higher because even if this team is losing, they're throwing. If the team is winning or in a close game, it's high scoring, they're throwing. Law Dog is going to probably, if I had to guess, throw for at least 290 to 325 yards, maybe an interception. But Law Dog could very well have one of those 4 touchdown games. But let's be semi-responsible here. 2 to 3 touchdowns, 300 yards passing, hit the higher. It's one of my favorite higher lows of the week on Underdog Fantasy, code Smitty. And Law Dog is going to be throwing again because this man is back and he's an organizer of men. This guy doesn't lose. And this guy's going to walk into the Jaguars' home, not wipe his feet, and say, let's score some touchdowns. Let's have some fun. And there's no way I can envision a starting Travis Kelce coming off no week 1, walking into this one and not scoring a touchdown on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where Underdog will double your first deposit up to 100. I'm smashing the higher on the 0.5 touchdowns, which means he just scores one touchdown. Travis Kelce rushing or receiving, not that he'll rush, but you never know. It's nice to get that little added bonus of, hey, it can be a rushing if you want, but 1 rushing or receiving touchdown, smash. And if I had to project like a total stat line for Kelce in week number 1, coming off the knee injury, maybe there's some limitation or I don't know, limited usage or movement for him, but still totally a target hog. I would say like 80 yards and a touchdown, or maybe some kind of unbalanced 40-yard, 4-reception, 2-touchdown affair. Either way, I think he jumps back onto the scene with a splash, and his fantasy owners are ecstatic with what he does in week number 2. And any Panic Peter out there that panicked and traded him away is going to be extremely sorry they did so. This is, keep in mind, I know a lot of you coming out of week 1 are like, holy crap, you know, what did I do? Why did I take Kelce early? It's 1 week. Kelce's about to remind you why you went Kelce in round 1. It is Kelce
season.
It may be delayed a week, but it kicks off in week 2 against the Jaguars in this high-scoring affair. And because this man is throwing the football, constantly trying to keep his team either in the game or maybe in some sort of neck and neck, you know, touchdown race to the end, his ability to throw the ball around is going to make this man have a freaking day. And on Underdog, promo code Smitty, where they will double your first deposit up to $100. This guy's sitting at a 73.5 yardage total. I'm hitting the higher, not just in one-off fashion. I'm doing the 5-player contest where I can put 5 players on one specific contest and hit the higher on all of them, the lower, the higher, the mix of whatever kind I do. And if I get all 5 right, it's a 20 times multiplier. I'll show you an example at the end of a 5-player contest that I put together doing all hires, and he's on there because 73.5 yards to me in a shootout, in a scoring fest, is an easy walk in the park, especially if the Law Dog is throwing missiles all over the field. Remember, 300 plus yards, 2 to 3 touchdowns, and we're being conservative with the 2 or 3 scores. I think he has a day. I think this guy has such a big day in week 2 that we walk out of week 2 going, where are we ranking him? Inside the top 4, top 5, and people that have T-Law and another quarterback they thought might be better, or if you drafted T-Law and Tua does well in week 2 as well, you've got yourself an amazing trade potential situation on your hands where you can go sell one of these guys off for a player that's probably like second round worthy if we redrafted today. But Law Dog's throwing missiles to our boy Ridley, who's going to be higher than 73.5 yards in my humble opinion. I don't give financial advice at all, but I'm feeling like, again, double your first deposit up to $100 if you are so bold to do so. Check it out right here. Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty. I'm just feeling this one. I'm feeling this game. And as you can tell, I'm focused pretty hardcore on it in terms of these higher lows because it's a high scoring game. It's a good game to start looking at the numbers and saying, okay, they're pretty good about hitting these higher low numbers right on the money, but with a high scoring affair where Mahomes is motivated to bouncing back, throwing the football, spreading it around, getting the offense going. And again, Kelce's the glue that I think might even get Kadarius Tony back on track. And while we're on the topic of Mahomes, while he's going to be throwing missiles all over the field, this little number right here looks very attractive. When I looked at Mahomes' passing totals, they look good. I think he probably goes higher on a lot of them, but this one stuck out like a sore thumb. 21.5 rushing yards. I'm going to smash the higher on that. 21.5 on Underdog Fantasy, promo code Smitty for Patrick Mahomes. But he's going to be serving up a lot of fantasy points to his compadres in 2023 week number 2, and it's going to trigger this Jaguar team to continue to score and throw points and take shots downfield, which is why I think maybe Trevor Lawrence has an INT, but that doesn't faze the Law Dog. He's the Law Dog for a reason.
Lion lives among us, posing as half man, half lawman. His golden mane is reportedly 6 feet long and is bathed in milk.
That's right.
His marvelous mane grows longer with each breath he takes. Legend has it that if you say T-Law in the dark in the bathroom 3 times, you lose your league instantly. Conspiracy fanatics have linked his triangle bone structure to the ancient pyramids and alien theory.
The Law Dog is here to stay. The Law Dog Milkman is here to deliver your milk. He's soaking his mane in that milk. Why don't you do the same? Why don't you put some faith in the hires when it comes to this Jaguar offense in week number 2? Okay, so we've got the 73.5 high, 21.5 rushing yards. Seems like an absolute smash. Now, because this game's going to be high scoring, because Mahomes and the crew is going to try and get, I don't know, some balance and some normalcy established in this offense, and I fully think they will. Again, Kelce's the glue. What I think ends up happening here is that Pacheco gets on his horse again, and they realize that he is also kind of a, not glue like Kelce, but some sort of necessity to keep the offense on track and moving and keeping defenses honest and trying to get that normalcy back. They need balance. They need balance, and they need Pacheco to do his work. Now, I'm taking the higher on his total yards, not his rushing yards, because I think, again, they're going to be passing the ball a lot, and because he's so capable as a receiving back, he showed it in week 1. He really looked good. They just didn't use him enough, but I think he probably is a safe 65.5 rushing and receiving yard total player option in week number 2. I just love that number, and the higher just feels right, and I think he has a baller day. He could have close to 90 to 100 total yards and a touchdown, or have one of those like Kelce imbalanced 2 TD 40-yard 50-yard games. But I think this is a very safe number when you combine the yardage and you get a chance to use that combined total. I'm loving Pacheco in week number 2. And if you've got him and you don't have like great running back options, or you have somebody with a horrible matchup, he is a fine start in week 2. Trust that the offense will get back to where we thought it would be walking into week 1. Without Kelce, we thought maybe they'd use him a lot. Maybe they'd throw to McKinnon. I think a lot of what we thought was going to play out and unfold in week number 1 unfolds and plays out in week number 2. And so Pacheco's a big part of that. Now, before I show you what the 5-player contest looks like when you put all these together and you do like 5 hires and you do a 5 times multiplier. So $5 will get you $100. $20 will get you $400 if you get all 5 of them right. There's one more player I want to talk about, and it's a tough one to bank on. It's Kadarius Tony with a 32.5 rushing and receiving total. His receiving total number was 28.5, so only a slight difference between 28.5 and 32.5 if I hit the higher on the combined yardage. And because I could see him being eased back into the game in ways that might be obvious later, like handing him the ball a couple times, getting him confident, he could rip off a 15-20 yard run and then just catch another 20 yards and hit this higher pretty easily. I know it's very easy to say I don't want to start him in fantasy, although it would be an intriguing play if you're decimated with injuries. I think he does have a shot still to recapture some glory. I mean, look at Swift in week 1 and then look at Swift in week 2. People were ready to write him off. We were very furious with him and the usage in week 1 coming out of week 1. He's a moon man. Swift is a moon man for a reason, but we were very distraught and we were pretty much driven into the ground and worn down like a nub by the time that week 1 performance was over. And it was hard looking at him in your lineup in week 2, but we, for the most part, did it across the board on the show, and Swift went to the moon. And I think the same thing could, not moon worthy, but the same thing could be in the cards for Tony to a lesser degree, to where maybe he's a 60-yard and a touchdown guy in week number 2. But for the case and purpose of this higher low, it's a very low number that I think 20 or 15 yards of this could be rushing. So the higher feels really comfortable. But I went ahead and did 2 different contests here with 5 guys on it. And I took Tony off one of them just in case he is the wild card that we don't want to have in, that ruins this entire lot here. But I did 2 different combines here. Now, you don't necessarily have to put all 5 on one contest, but it does, like I said, multiply the amount of money you can win. So if you do $5 on a 5-player contest and you do hires across the board and you have to get all 5 of them right to win, $5 gets you $100, $20 gets you $400, etc. And so I like these right here. I took Tony off of this one and replaced him with Mahomes' rushing yards of 21.5. But if you wanted like my favorite of the week, the one I felt most comfortable with, I'd probably say this Mahomes, this individual Mahomes rushing total of 21.5 yards higher. I would say my next favorite's this Kelce 1 touchdown, and then my next one would be Ridley 73.5 yards. But this is an absolute glorious game to be partaking in such an affair. Again, Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty, where they will match up to $100 on your first deposit using code Smitty. So get it done. And we'll have more tonight. We'll be live tonight doing some Q&A, Start Bench Show. I will see you all there. Now get out of here.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com studios, it's the Fantasy Football Show.